life. We're going to save a lot of parents from a tough life. Okay, how about a few questions? Let's just make it on this subject. This is so beyond as a subject that I'd rather not talk about, you know, some nonsense on the economy. And I will say this, the economy is unbelievable. The stock market just hit another record high and all that stuff. This means more to me. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, I have one on your announcement, one on vaccines that's also related.
Yes.
Why do you think we haven't heard more previously about the tie to autism and acetaminophen?
Nobody knows. I don't know. Not only that, when you say it, you get attacked. I was saying something similar, not as strongly, because now facts are on our side. But I was saying it with Bobby 20 years ago, and I was attacked. I said, whoa, what was that all about? I had no idea. You get attacked. I don't know. The medical community, the drug companies, doctors. I don't know what it is. All I want to do, I don't care. I don't care about being attacked. It doesn't matter to me. I believe that the numbers at the end of our term or shortly thereafter could be really phenomenal. I want it to go up just like it came down to this horrible level. 1 in 10, 1 in 12. I was told 1 in 10. I was told 1 in 12. Today I heard 1 in 31 if you add the girls and the boys together. It's crazy. And it was 1 in 10,000 and 1 in 20,000. It's not even sustainable for a country. You want to know the truth. And there are other places that don't have it. And they have things in common. And that's called medical research. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, I'm curious as you look at the trend lines,
yeah,
how much of this is the causation of acetaminophen and how much is sort of better diagnosis, doctors, researchers having a better understanding of what, you know, is on the autism spectrum?
Do you want to do that? Sure, go ahead.
That's one of the canards that has been promoted by the industry for many years, that it's changed diagnostic criteria, better recognition. But there's been study after study done of that completely debunks that. One of them by the Mind Institute at UC Davis, University of California. But also it's just common sense, because you're only seeing this in people who are under 50 years of age. If it were better recognition or diagnosis, you'd see it in 70-year-old men. I've never seen this happening in people my age. I've never seen a case of full-blown autism, and that means profound autism. I want to be very careful. Head banging, stimming, toe walking, nonverbal, non-toilet trained. I've never in my life seen a 70-year-old man who looks like that. You're only seeing it in the kids. It's an epidemic.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was hoping that you could clear up confusion for moms and dads across America, many of whom voted for you. There's a statement that was put out by the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, and in their statement, they write, acetaminophen remains a safe, trusted option for pain relief during pregnancy, and that's at odds with what you said and with what many of the experts say. How do you clear up this confusion?
That's the establishment. They're funded by lots of different groups. And you know what? Maybe they're right. I don't think they are, because I don't think the facts bear it out at all. They're fighting for something that, in my opinion, they shouldn't be fighting for. But here's the thing. There's no downside to doing, other than a mother will have to, as I say, tough it out a little bit. There's no downside to doing this. It's not like, oh, if you do this, you're going to die. There's no downside. There's no downside to going over a 4-year or a 5-year period or a 3-year period, or even if you space them out for 6 months, you space it out. There's no downside. And that's why I will say the gentlemen behind me, they have very strong views, and they feel that we're right, but they'll have more research done over the next 2 months. I said, well, 2 months is a long time. A lot of people could be saved, and there's no downside to doing it. Everything I said, there's no downside to doing it. It can only be good. And I think you're going to see very good results. That's establishment stuff, and we've been reading that about a lot of things for years. And you know what's happened? We've gone from 1 in 20,000 to 1 in 10,000 to 1 in 32 to 1 in 10. Think of it. 1 in 10 or 12 or 1 in 31. Think of it. 1 in 31 people, young kids, get autism? What is it, Jeff?
My question is about leucovorin. You mentioned that as part of your plan. That is also a chemotherapy treatment. Have you been in touch with the drug companies to
Why don't
increase
I have the
production
doctor
about
answer
that?
that?
I'm going to throw in my follow-up at the same time. Dr. Oz mentioned that this will be available with CHIP, children who are on CHIP. But the big beautiful bill reduced funding for CHIP and Medicaid by $1 trillion over the next 10 years. Are you concerned that that will impact your ability to get this drug
I'll
out?
explain it to you in a second, but please go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you. Leucovorin is not a chemotherapy, but it is a vitamin given with chemotherapy sometimes. And the idea here is that the folic acid receptor in the brain is blocked by some antibody response. It might be 20, 40, 50% of kids with autism. And leucovorin will bypass that blocked receptor. And that's why so many doctors are probably seeing so much clinical improvement on kids with leucovorin.
So are you going to increase production?
Yeah, we've been in touch with the companies, and they are prepared to ramp up production. And we actually talked to them about a month ago.
And on your second part of your nasty question, the number is that the great big beautiful bill, which is the greatest, I think one of the best things ever passed in the history, with the tax cuts and regulation cuts and all of the things it does, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, all of it does. It also gives $200 million, as just explained by Dr. Oz, and I'd like you to explain that to exactly what you're saying.
The Big Beautiful Bill actually increases Medicaid spending projected over the next 10 years by $200 billion. There's also a $50 billion Rural Health Transformation Fund, which will allow a lot of these programs to get in the rural parts of the country that the President and Congress are handing to governors to start distributing. Those grants have already gone out. The money will be allocated by the end of this calendar year. And I want to point out that the ability of NIH to do research that feeds and hands the ball to the FDA, which then can change labeling to allow Medicaid programs in states to fund this program, will ensure that the things that President Trump and Secretary Kennedy desire are financially affordable for the families around America.
You mentioned CHIP, sir. That's why I asked that question. You mentioned that CHIP would fund this for children.
Well, most of the kids are on Medicaid, probably 43% on Medicaid, another 8-10% on CHIP, and all the programs in general are being evaluated. Most of what the One Big Beautiful Bill was seeking to do was to remove fraud, waste, and abuse. But the programs themselves should stay financially intact for the people for whom they were designed, and in this case, for children.
And the only thing we cut, so that's $200 billion positive. The only thing we cut was for fraud, waste, and abuse, of which there was a lot in this country, and nobody minds that. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, you said that there is no reason to give newborn babies hepatitis B vaccines, but hepatitis B can be contracted not just through sexually transmitted diseases, it can come from needles to open wounds. So when you say you feel, is that appropriate to be telling?
I think it's absolutely appropriate. I think they should wait till they're 12 years old. Yes, please.
Mr. President, thank you all for being here. You've been talking about reducing autism by spacing out vaccines. Would you like other combined vaccines babies receive to be spaced out, like MMRV?
What is this again?
You've been talking.
Speak up, please.
Sir. You've been talking about reducing autism by spacing out vaccines.
Right. Correct.
Would you like the other combined vaccines babies receive to be spaced out, like MMRV?
I would say yes, but that just is, for me, it's a lot of common sense involved in this. It's a process, but we're looking, but it should at least be given separately. Now, it's possible that you can reduce them and I'd give them in small doses, but it's possible maybe in that particular case, the MMR wouldn't work in small doses, but you can certainly give them as separate shots. It's been proven to be very safe when you give them in separate shots instead of mixing. So I don't think there's any reason to do that. Do you agree with it? I'm not a doctor, but I'm giving my opinion. I don't think there's any reason to do that. So it's been proven to be safe when you break them up. But MMR by itself, I've heard bad things about it for many years. Yes, please.
Is the spectrum too broad, in your opinion? For research purposes, you are dealing with a population of children who might have social boundary difficulties, and then you have children who are, going to grow up to be adults in diapers. I mean, what do you think?
We don't know how broad the spectrum is. We don't know exactly where it starts and where it ends, but we do know what we're going through. We're going through some very serious trouble, and we know autism. I mean, it could be bigger, it could be small, a little bit smaller, but the number is unacceptable. And the number, the way it's come down, because the spectrums remain the same, the number, the way it's come down is just unacceptable, meaning come down to that level of 1 in 10, 1 in 12, 1 in 31.
Mr. President, medical professionals.
Go ahead in the back.
Mr. President, this question is more directed towards Secretary Kennedy. It was talked about that we're just kind of finding out about the fact that babies are affected this way. Is there a concern that information is being suppressed right now within HHS, and could an investigation perhaps be launched, seeing any more
Well, I think information has been really not given out very freely over the years, absolutely. And I think that's by drug companies and maybe doctors, but I certainly think that over the years. I think this is a different group. We have a lot of information. And that information, I mean, it's the information that we have that we're making these statements. And I'm making them out front, and I'm making them loud, and I'm making them strongly not to take Tylenol, not to take it. Just don't take it unless it's absolutely necessary, and there's not too many cases where that will be the case. And again, what's the worst? The worst is nothing can happen. It's very positive. That's a positive thing. But I don't believe I don't actually believe that's possible. I think the results are going to be amazing. I want to see amazing results by the time I leave this beautiful building. And I will consider this, I believe, you know, with the wars, I've stopped 7 different wars. I've saved millions of lives. I've done a lot of things. This will be as important as any single thing I've done, because I know ladies, beautiful ladies just like this that are going through the same thing. And it's not easy, and I admire you for being able to do it. But I admire him, too. I wish I had a face that looked like that. If I looked like him, I would have been president a long time ago.
Tylenol is widely used in other countries, too. As you make this announcement, do you expect your decision may affect
I
other
hope they
countries?
follow it, yeah. I hope they follow it. Yeah, other countries are, you know, sell Tylenol. Some countries don't. I mean, I hear Cuba, now, again, you'll have to check this out, but I hear Cuba doesn't have it because it's very expensive, and they don't have the money to have it, or they don't want to spend the money to have it. They don't have Tylenol, and I hear they have essentially no autism. So you have to check it out. Yeah, Brian.
Medical professionals have warned for decades.
I said, no, not you. You're CNN. You're fake news. Go ahead, Brian.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to go back to the Amish community, if I can, just for a second. I recently saw a man from Minnesota, an Amish man from Minnesota, on a podcast, and the host asked him what the rates were for like ADHD and autism, and he had no idea about ADHD, didn't know that it existed, and certainly didn't know of any cases. What are they doing?
It doesn't exist with the Amish community, and they don't take all of this junk. It doesn't exist. That tells you, doesn't that tell you? That's like, you know, that's like certain countries where it doesn't exist and they don't take it. Would you like to make a comment about that, Mark?
The Amish population, a very mixed group. So there's a subset that take vaccines, a subset that does not. And we know they have very low rates of chronic disease all across the board.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Should the establishment media show at least some openness to, you know, trying to figure out what the causes of autism are?
I wish they would, yeah.
And why are they so closed-minded?
Well, they just, look, it's not only the media, in all fairness, it's some people. When you talk about vaccines, they go crazy. And, you know, I'm a big supporter of vaccines. I got a certain vaccine approved in 9 months that would have taken from 5 to 12 years. I'm very proud of it. A lot of people think it was one of the greatest things I've done, and some people think, mostly Republicans, actually. I'll tell you, the Democrats think it was, they think Operation Warp Speed was one of the greatest things any president has done, any president. It's, you know, we're very proud of what happened. We got hit with something that came from a place that shouldn't have happened, but it did happen. You know, those things take place, and you're very unpleasantly surprised. But no, I'm a big believer in vaccines. The polio vaccine, big believer in vaccines. I know Bobby and you guys have it out a little bit, but he's a believer in vaccines too. But I've seen how great vaccines can be, how incredible they can be. So I'm a believer. Yeah.
Sir.
Yeah, please.
Your comments made about MMR and hepatitis
HSB, and you said those were your suggestions, but have you spoken with Secretary Kennedy about actually making those changes?
I have, yeah, I have. I've spoken to all the doctors about it, and doctors that are not here right now. I've spoken to many doctors about everything we're talking about. And you know, the Tylenol has started to be spoken of over the last period of time, but we've been doing the research. A lot of what they've been speaking about comes from right here, by research done by these people. And I just say it again, don't take Tylenol. Don't take it. And don't give it to your child after your child is born. And do all those other things, little things, just spread out your visits, et cetera, on the vaccine. And I want to thank everybody. This is a very important day. Thank you very much.
Will you meet with the Democratic leader, sir?
You are watching RSBN live coverage from the White House. It is 5:51 Eastern time. Let's get right to one of our great sponsors, All Family Pharmacy. It's that time of year again, cold and flu season is just around the corner. Now's the time to think ahead and make sure you're prepared, while big chain pharmacies are all about pushing.
It's hilarious. The president's just talking about the danger of medicine, selling it. Home after winning.
Give me your power. Got my Superman cannon.
historic steps to confront the crisis of autism. Horrible, horrible crisis. I want to thank the man who brought this issue to the forefront of American politics along with me. And we actually met in my office, is it like 20 years ago, Bobby? It's probably 20 years ago in New York. I was a developer, as you probably heard, and I always had very strong feelings about autism and how it happened and where it came from. And he and I don't know, the word got out, and I wouldn't say that people were very understanding of where we were, but it's turning out that we understood a lot more than a lot of people who studied it, we think. And I say we think because I don't think they were really letting the public know what they knew. Thanks as well to the director of the National Institute of Health, Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty McCary. These are great people. Administrator of the Centers for Medicine and Medicaid Services, Dr. Mrdeza, and Acting Assistant Secretary of HHS, Dr. Dorothy Fink. So thank you all. Thank you, Dorothy, very much. The meteoric rise in autism is among the most alarming public health developments in history. There's never been anything like this. Just a few decades ago, 1 in 10,000 children had autism. So that's not a long time. And I've always heard, you know, they say a few, but I think it's a lot less time than that. It used to be 1 in 20,000, then 1 in 10,000. And I would say that's probably 18 years ago. And now it's 1 in 31, but in some areas it's much worse than that, if you can believe it, 1 in 31. And I gave numbers yesterday. For boys, it's 1 in 12. I was told that's in California where they have for some reason, a more severe problem. But whether it's 1 in 12 or 1 in 31, can you imagine? That's down from 1 in 20,000 and 1 in 10,000. And now we're at the level of 1 in 12 in some cases for boys.
I agree with the president. People are a lot more
1 in
retarded.
31 overall. So since 2000, autism rates have surged by much more than 400%. Instead of attacking those who ask questions, everyone should be grateful for those who are trying to get the answers to this complex situation. And the first day all of these great doctors behind me were there, I told them this is what we have to find out. Because when you go from 20,000 to 10,000 and then you go to 12, you know there's something artificial. They're taking something. And by the way, I think I can say that there are certain groups of people that don't take vaccines and don't take any pills that have no autism. That have no autism. Does that tell you something? That's currently, is that a correct statement, by the way?
There are some studies that suggest that, yeah, with the Amish, for example.
The Amish, yeah, virtually. I heard none. See, Bobby wants to be very careful with what he says, and he should, but I'm not so careful with what I say. But you have certain groups. The Amish, as an example, they have essentially no autism. First, effective immediately, the FDA will be notifying physicians that the use of well, let's see how we say that. Acetaminophen. Is that okay? Which is basically commonly known as Tylenol during pregnancy, can be associated with a very increased risk of autism. So taking Tylenol is not good. All right, I'll say it. It's not good. For this reason, they are strongly recommending that women limit Tylenol use during pregnancy unless medically necessary. That's, for instance, in cases of extremely high fever, that you feel you can't tough it out, you can't do it. I guess there's that. It's a small number of cases, I think. But if you can't tough it out, if you can't do it, that's what you're going to have to do. You'll take a Tylenol, but it'll be very sparingly. It can be something that's very dangerous to the woman's health. In other words, a fever that's very, very dangerous and ideally a doctor's decision, because I think you shouldn't take it. And you shouldn't take it during the entire pregnancy. They may tell you that toward the end of the pregnancy, you shouldn't take it during the entire. And you shouldn't give the child the Tylenol every time he's born and he goes and has a shot. You shouldn't give a Tylenol to that child. All pregnant women should talk to their doctors for more information about limiting the use of this medication while pregnant. So ideally, you don't take it at all, but if you can't tough it out, if there's a problem, you're going to end up doing it. The other thing that I can tell you that I'll say that they will maybe say at a little bit later date, but I think when you go for the shot, you do it over a 5-time period. Take it over 5 times or 4 times, but you take it in smaller doses and you spread it out over a period of years. And they pump so much stuff into those beautiful little babies. It's a disgrace. I don't see it. I think it's very bad. They're pumping, it looks like they're pumping into a horse. You have a little fragile child, and you get a vat of 80 different vaccines, I guess, 80 different blends, and they pump it in. So ideally, a woman won't take Tylenol. And on the vaccines, it would be good instead of one visit where they pump the baby, load it up with stuff, you'll do it over a period of 4 times or 5 times. I've been so into this issue for so many years just because I couldn't understand how a thing like this could happen. And it's artificially induced. It's not like something that when you go from all of those, healthy babies to a point where I don't even know structurally if a country can afford it. And that's the least of the problems. To have families destroyed over this is just so terrible. I also, and we've already done this, we want no mercury in the vaccine. We want no aluminum in the vaccine. The MMR, I think, should be taken separately. This is based on what I feel, the mumps, measles, and all the 3 should be taken separately. And it seems to be that when you mix them, there could be a problem. So there's no downside in taking them separately. In fact, they think it's better, so let it be separate. The chicken pox is already separate, because when that got mixed in, I guess they made it 4 for a while, it really was bad. So they make chicken pox. Individually, they're okay. When you mix them, something maybe happens. So there's no downside in doing it. It's not like, if you do it, bad things. No, it's only good side. And it may not have that much of an impact, but it may have a big impact. So let those be taken separately. And then hepatitis B is sexually transmitted. There's no reason to give a baby that's almost just born hepatitis B. So I would say wait till the baby is 12 years old and formed and take hepatitis B. And I think if you do those things, it's going to be a whole different, it's going to be a revolution in a positive sense in the country. The FDA will be updating the label of an existing drug to reflect potential benefits in reducing some autism symptoms. This gives hope to the many parents with autistic children that it may be possible to improve their lives. That's one of the things that I'm very, very happy about. I mean, this was mostly going to be on how not to have the child affected, but we've learned some pretty good things about certain elements of genius that can be given to a baby, and the baby can get better, and in some cases maybe substantially better. Not going to be easy, but be a lot easier if it didn't happen in the first place, as these great parents fully understand, right? They fully understand. I feel so terribly I have so many friends with autistic children. It's a tough situation. Finally, to help reach the ultimate goal of ending the autism fever, the NIH will be announcing 13 major grant awards from the Autism Data Science Initiatives. And to be honest with you, to me, that's the least important. It's not even a money thing at this point. There's so much money, but they have to do, and they have to move quickly. when the alternative is that nothing bad can happen, let's do it now. I was just saying to Bobby and the group, let's do it now. Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. But with Tylenol, don't take it. Don't take it. And if you can't live, if your fever is so bad, you have to take one because there's no alternative to that. Sadly, first question, what can you take instead? It's actually, there's not an alternative to that. And as you know, other of the medicines are absolutely proven bad. I mean, they've been proven bad with the aspirins and the Advils and others, right? And they've been proven bad. So I'd like to ask Bobby to get up to the podium and say a few words, and then Dr. Bhattacharya and Dr. McCary, Dr. Oz, Dr. Fink, followed by two incredible mothers that have experienced firsthand what this country is going through, what parts of the world are going through. And I will say there are parts of the world that don't take Tylenol. I mean, there's a rumor, and I don't know if it's so or not, that Cuba, they don't have Tylenol because they don't have the money for Tylenol, and they have virtually no autism, okay? Tell me about that one. And there are other parts of the world where they don't have Tylenol, where they don't have autism. Hello? That tells you a lot. And I want to say it right now. And you know the way I look at it? Don't take it. Don't take it. There's no downside in not taking it. So I'd like to ask Bobby to come up and say a few words. I hope I didn't ruin his day, but that's the way I feel. I've been very strong on this subject for a long time. You know, life is common sense, too. And there's a lot of common sense in this, and I wish things like this were brought up, and this group has worked so hard on it, but I'd like to be a little bit more, a little speedier in the process of a recommendation, because there's no harm in going quicker. There's absolutely no harm. At worst, there's no harm. Thank you very much. Bobby, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. To meet the President's challenge, I ordered HHS to launch an unprecedented all-agency effort to identify all causes of autism, including toxic and pharmaceutical exposures. At President Trump's urging, NIH, FDA, CDC, and CMS are turning over every stone to identify the etiology of the autism epidemic and how patients and parents can prevent and reverse this alarming trend. We have broken down the traditional silos that have long separated these agencies, and we have fast-tracked research and guidance. Historically, NIH has focused almost solely on politically safe and entirely fruitless research about the genetic drivers of autism. And that would be like studying the genetic drivers of lung cancer without looking at cigarettes. And that's what NIH has been doing for 20 years. As a result, we don't have an answer to this critical question, despite the cataclysmic impact of the epidemic on our nation's children. We are now replacing the institutional culture of politicized science and corruption with evidence-based medicine. NIH research teams are currently testing multiple hypotheses with no area off limits. We promise transparency as we uncover the potential causes and treatments, and we will notify the public regularly of our progress. Today, we are announcing two important findings from our autism work that are vital for parents to know as they make these decisions. First, HHS will act on acetaminophen. The FDA is responding to clinical and laboratory studies that suggest a potential association between acetaminophen use during pregnancy and adverse neurodevelopmental outcomes, including later diagnosis for ADHD and autism. Scientists have proposed biological mechanisms linking prenatal acetaminophen exposure to altered brain development. We have also evaluated the contrary studies that show no association. Today, the FDA will issue a physician's notice about the risk of acetaminophen during pregnancy and begin the process to initiate a safety label change. HHS will launch a nationwide public service campaign to inform families and protect public health. FDA also recognized that acetaminophen is often the only tool for fevers and pain in pregnancy, as other alternatives have well-documented adverse effects. HHS wants, therefore, to encourage clinicians to exercise their best judgment and the use of acetaminophen for fevers and pain in pregnancy by prescribing the lowest effective dose for the shortest necessary duration and only when treatment is required. Furthermore, thanks also to the politicization of science, the safety of acetaminophen against the risk of neurodevelopmental disorders in young children has never been validated. Prudent medicine, therefore, suggests caution in acetaminophen use by young children, especially since strong evidence also has associated it with liver toxicity. Some studies have also found the use of acetaminophen in children can potentially prolong viral illnesses. FDA will drive new research to safeguard mothers, children, and families. In addition to a possible acetaminophen connection to autism for pregnant women, infants, and toddlers, our research has revealed that folate deficiency in a child's brain can lead to autism. We have also identified an exciting therapy that may benefit large numbers of children who suffer from autism. Peer-reviewed literature has documented that up to 60% of folate-deficient children with ASD can have improved verbal communications if given leucovorin. I have instructed NIH, FDA, and CMS to help doctors treat children appropriately. Jay will help tell that story, which started with sound science, the kind that restores faith in government. This announcement also represents a historic collaboration between NIH, FDA, CDC, and CMS. We expect this to be the first of many announcements over the coming years that deliver actionable information to parents on underlying cause of autism and the potential paths for prevention and reversal. Finally, autism is a complex disorder with multifactorial etiology. We are continuing to investigate a multiplicity of potential causes with no areas of taboo. One area that we are closely examining, as the President mentioned, is vaccines. Some 40 to 70% of mothers who have children with autism believe that their child was injured by a vaccine. President Trump believes that we should be listening to these mothers instead of gaslighting and marginalizing them like prior administrations. Some of our friends like to say that we should believe all women. But some of these same people have been silencing and demonizing these mothers for 3 decades because research on the potential link between autism and vaccines has been actively suppressed in the past. It will take time for an honest look at this topic by scientists. But I want to reassure the people in the autism community that we will be uncompromising and relentless in our search for answers. We will perform the studies that should have been performed 25 years ago. Whatever the answer is, we will tell you what we find. We are researching this issue to all 3 agencies. Jay will discuss one of our research initiatives at NIH. This model of unleashing unbiased, depoliticized, gold standard scientific research and academic freedom to deliver actionable information to prevent and reverse disease will be a model for the framework to deliver similar results for many other chronic conditions that plague Americans. Jay?
Thank you, Secretary Kennedy, and thank you, President Trump.
Thank you very much.
I'm proud to announce today that the NIH has launched the Autism Data Science Initiative to turbocharge autism research, devoting an additional $50 million to the cause of studying autism. Nearly 250 research teams from across the country applied, sent in their applications, and were peer-reviewed by the NIH review panels. The NIH peer reviewers chose the 13 best projects focused on root causes and therapies, with replication and validation studies to guarantee gold standard science. The studies feature a new kind of science called exposomics, where scientists consider environmental and medical factors, nutrition, events during pregnancy, in combination with biology and genetics to answer vital questions about autism. Science like this, conducted in partnership with families and physicians, is the best way to arrest and reverse the autism epidemic. Autism spectrum disorder encompasses a very wide range of symptoms, ranging from mild difficulties with social interactions to profoundly autistic children who experience severe disabilities in speech and behavior. Given this wide range of symptoms across the spectrum, it seems certain that there will be a wide range of biological contributors to explaining the cause. The great thing about the new NIH initiative on autism is that scientists will use rigorous advanced methods in causal inference, machine learning, organoids, and other fresh approaches to the problem. The sharp rise in the prevalence of autism deserves an urgent response by the scientific community. As Bobby said, the NIH has invested a lot of money to study autism over the years, but the research has not produced the answers that families and parents of autistic children deserve, and autistic children themselves deserve. For too long, it's been taboo to ask some questions for fear the scientific work might reveal a politically incorrect answer. Because of this restricted focus in scientific investigations, the answers for families have been similarly restricted, often pointing families to behavioral therapies that don't work for every kid or suggest non-modifiable genetic factors as the cause. But genetics alone can't explain such a sharp rise in autism prevalence over just a few decades, as the president said. In coming months and years, as NIH scientists learn more that can help autistic children and their families, we won't delay. Like scientists often like to do, I can say as a scientist myself, it's really tempting to delay, but but in face of a problem like this, you have to move fast. But we will not delay before telling American people about what we find, and we will win the public trust with transparency and rigor. Already, our broadened focus on autism research has pointed to 2 items that will help families prevent and treat some cases of autism. I'll leave the good news on these 2 items to my close friends and colleagues, Dr. McCary and Dr. Oz. We've been working together closely on this problem for the past 6 months, and our cooperation represents an unprecedented collaboration with Secretary Kennedy's Department of Health and Human Services and with President Trump. I'm delighted to introduce Dr. Marty McCary, Commissioner of the Food and Drug Administration, who will tell you about these announcements of practical help for families with autism.
Great, thank you, Dr. Bhattacharya. Mr. President, this is the start of a historic shift in medical culture. This administration is working together to ask big questions about why our nation's children are getting sick so fast. Too often, medicine is doing small little studies, giving us answers we already knew. But we've got to make a difference. You've given us a charge to identify root causes, and we are not going to stop so that we can end the suffering we are watching. And if you've seen a kid with autism, with severe autism, it's hard to watch. Kids get frustrated, they get angry, they can be crying because they want to speak and they can't speak. It's hard to watch, and it may be entirely preventable. For an epidemiologist, that child is an expanding statistic, but for a child, it can be brutal to have autism. Today, the FDA is taking action to update the label on acetaminophen and sending a letter to all U.S. doctors letting them know about the risks in pregnancy. We now have data we cannot ignore. There's a very large study, the Boston Birth Cohort, with researchers that have, from Johns Hopkins, my former institution, and Boston University, found quote-unquote consistent associations between acetaminophen in pregnancy and autism. And the Nurses' Health Study with researchers from Yale, Columbia, and Harvard looking at 9,000 kids found that acetaminophen use in pregnancy was associated with neurodevelopmental disorders. And 4 weeks ago, a Mount Sinai Harvard study reviewed all the existing literature and found the overwhelming body of evidence points to an association. Sure, you'll be able to find a study to the contrary. That's how science works. But to quote the dean of the Harvard School of Public Health, there is a causal relationship between prenatal acetaminophen use and neurodevelopmental disorders of ADHD and autism spectrum disorder. We cannot wait any longer. And honestly, there's been this perfunctory, reactionary, mindless practice in medicine. I learned it in medical school and residency. Just treat all fevers, low-grade fevers, treat them with acetaminophen. Why? What are we doing? A study out of Hopkins actually showed that treating a fever can prolong the duration of illness in a young kid. Maybe that's because a fever is a body's natural way of ridding an infection. When my wife was pregnant and delivered our son a few months ago, they pushed her to take acetaminophen for a low-grade fever. She said no, and then they looked to me and I said, absolutely no. I'm also here to announce good news. Today, the FDA is filing a Federal Register notice to change the label on an exciting treatment called prescription leucovorin so that it can be available to children with autism. You know, autism may also be due to an autoimmune reaction to a folate receptor on the brain, not allowing that important vitamin to get into the brain cells. It's a fairly established, mature pathway. Again, we have a duty to let doctors and the public know we are going to change the label to make it available. Hundreds of thousands of kids, in my opinion, will benefit. One study found that with kids with autism and chronic folate deficiency, 2/3 of kids with autism symptoms had improvement, and some marked improvement. Mr. President, you told us to do what's medically right, to go bold, and not worry about the corporations and the lobbyists. So that's what we're here doing today. Thank you, Mr. President.
Good, thank you. Thanks, Marty. I think you all appreciate the passion in the President's voice. We've been hearing that since the inauguration. In fact, even before the inauguration, the President was upset about what he spoke to today. And so together with Secretary Kennedy, who's made it his life's work to address some of these challenges with autism, they challenged us. In fact, they were harsher than that. They wanted no silos to break down what the NIH would do, what the FDA would do, what CMS would do. They insisted that the physician leaders bust through the clutter because their agencies had the power if we didn't do what every other prior administration had done, which is to let people function within their siloed environments. Because of that, in historic fashion and a very accelerated manner, we have a response today to the autism crisis. It is the first of several chapters, but this is breaking news. You've heard some of it. The response to the autism crisis is going to continue to come to you under Secretary Kennedy's leadership, and the President wouldn't have it any other way, as you've heard. The FDA, based on NIH research, is approving prescription leucovorin for treatment of autistic children. Now, if you're following the script, there should be two questions that you have, two questions that should come to your mind. The first is, how will patients and parents get access to the treatment? I'll tell you how. Over half of American children are covered by Medicaid and CHIP, government health insurance, over half. Therefore, because they're covered in Medicaid and CHIP, upon this label change by Marty, state Medicaid programs in partnership with CMS will cover prescription leucovorin around the country. It's yours, but you have to go to a doctor to get a prescription because they know your child, they know you, and they know the medication. States will also have tools to monitor its use and ensure appropriate utilization. That's important for a bunch of reasons because we want the right kids getting the right prescription medications. We believe private insurance companies will rapidly follow our lead if they have not already done so. And again, to make sure that this is safe and effective treatment, you need a physician to prescribe the medication because it's on prescription. Second big question, how are we going to collect clinical data to answer the big questions that the President is asking and the Secretary insists that we offer? CMS is also issuing guidance to convene states and existing research networks to support NIH and FDA in their research efforts of prescription leucovorin, while also maintaining the privacy of all patients, all health information of our beneficiaries. Collecting real-world data, which is what many of you have been asking us to do in the community, is fast, it is life-saving, and we'll get answers based on what happens over the next few months with this approach. The aggressive approach, and it is aggressive, demanded by the President and by the Secretary, have already identified risk factors and opened the door for the first FDA-recognized treatment pathway for autism. It is the
Disgusting. AVGN. Talk about poop. Haunted mansion.
Hey, I am here with Mike. Now, Mike usually streams old video games on Twitch.
We streamed Breath of the Wild a long time ago on my channel. Do you remember that? I made you taste a Switch cartridge.
I do remember that, yeah. But for this one occasion, Mike is going to join me for a talk about Disney's Haunted Mansion. But let me just explain how this all came together, because as you probably know, I'm about to do Monster Madness, so I'm in the setup and everything. It's coming out this October, as usual. The topic this year is going to be Halloween themes, like candy, decorations, haunted attractions. And I was talking to Mike about haunted attractions, and the Haunted Mansion kind of stands out from other haunted attractions because it's in a theme park. It's a fixed,
it's a permanent fixture, yeah.
And it had a huge production, so it was like kind of like a more advanced haunted house than what you'd usually do on like a hayride or something. So consider this video like a pre-game to Monster Madness. So basically, we decided just to do a one-off video about that, about Haunted Mansion, and then you'll see me again for Monster Madness this October.
I've always been kind of obsessed with Disney stuff, and one thing I want to point out, though, is I know what the comments will be on this video already, is that people are like, oh, Disney sucks now, and all that. And just to be clear, it's funny when you're an adult and then you talk about that you like Disney, because they're like, oh, Disney's for kids and like all that. I like Disney from about the 1930s to through the 90s. It starts to drop off, I think, in the 2000s, and I don't like Disney very much anymore. So when I say I like Disney stuff, I like the old Disney stuff, and the Haunted Mansion is an old Disney thing.
Yeah, yeah. What you mean is like we like you know, like the Ichabod cartoon and Sword in the Stone, and like, you know, the original Cinderella and like all that type of stuff.
There's also the more obscure Disney films, like stuff like Saludos Amigos, which is where Walt Disney gave his animators a bunch of cameras, and he's like, go on vacation, boys. And they all went down to South America, and they shot footage of beaches and stuff and brought the footage back to Burbank, and then they animated Donald Duck into the scenes. I know James loves the Goofy cartoons, right? That's your favorite, right?
Oh, of the Disney ones, probably. Yeah, I love Goofy.
I love that. I love the old Disney comic books, the Carl Barks, Donald Duck comics, the Floyd Gottfredson Mickey Mouse comics. I like all of it, but the old stuff, I don't really care that much for the new stuff. I feel like after the 90s, it really started to fall off. Not just the movies, but the theme park and just Disney in general. They started buying like Marvel, and now it's like Walt Disney's The Simpsons and Walt Disney's Spider-Man and Walt Disney's Star Wars, which all that's just weird to me, and I don't agree with any of that. I like Disney when they make their own stuff with their own IPs. Hey, about that Ichabod cartoon, did you ever watch the whole thing, the entire movie? Mr. Toad's Wild Ride is like based on the rest of that movie.
Yeah, isn't it the original story was like The Wind in the Willows or something?
Yes, that's the name of it. Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, which is also kind of a scary ride, because at the end of that ride, you basically go to hell. You're like on a crazy car ride. I don't know if he gets in a car accident and dies and goes to hell. Like, I don't know exactly what the plot is, but you end up in hell, and there's like all little devils all over the place. And then the last thing you see is this big dragon that comes out. The Haunted Mansion isn't the only Disney thing that's spooky. There's a lot of spooky Disney things. They did that cartoon, The Lonesome Ghosts, and there's a lot of like spooky themed Disney things out there. There's the Trick or Treat cartoon and comic book as well, which was
that'll come up a little later.
Yeah, the comic book was drawn by Carl Barks. I actually have a lithograph in the other room of it, and then they made an animated cartoon of it, so people probably know all about that, where the Huey, Dewey, and Louie, they go out trick-or-treating, and then Donald gets involved and all that. So that's another good one too.
Yeah, because we're going to talk a little bit about trick-or-treating and stuff as this goes on, and that cartoon like helped make trick-or-treating popular, actually.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, like it wasn't like the one thing that did, but it was like a big, you know, step in making trick-or-treating more like mainstream. Yeah, so the Haunted Mansion ride, basically, well, there was originally the one in LA, right? Or Anaheim.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in like what, early 60s?
Yeah, 1969 was the original ride in California.
Oh, you know what I was thinking was, it was like, I guess it was originally just a facade, right? And then they built the ride inside of it eventually.
I believe it was a plan from the beginning to make it into the Haunted Mansion. It might have taken them a while to put the building together. So in that way, it could have been a facade for a while people were in the park. They probably saw it being built. But I mean, I think it was always a plan for it to be the Haunted Mansion.
And then eventually there was the one in Orlando.
2 years later, 1971, Walt Disney World opened, and it opened with the Haunted Mansion as being part of it. Now, the Haunted Mansion in Anaheim in California is a New Orleans themed one, so the buildings don't look the same, where the Haunted Mansion in Orlando in Florida is a Gothic, like colonial American style building. So they look different, and the rides are a little bit different, but they're overall pretty similar, but there are some differences to them. The Haunted Mansion was an original ride. Like, they were just like, let's do a haunted house and have ghosts and gravestones and things like that, and let's just make a spooky ride for the theme park. Disney doesn't really do that anymore. Everything now has to be based on an IP. Like, if they're going to make a ride now, you know that it's going to be based on like Frozen, or it's going to be based on whatever like their new movies are, where back in the 60s and 50s and stuff, they used to just make rides that were totally original to the park. And one of the things I wanted to ask you, James, is what do you think about the fact that now they'll only make stuff that it's like it has to be tied to a movie or TV show? Do you feel like something is lost at all by them not just creating a new ride for the park like they used to do?
Yeah, I guess I do miss having a ride where it's just a ride, but either way, as long as it's a good ride, I guess. Do you remember the first time seeing the Haunted Mansion, like as a kid? Or like
so I'm from the East Coast. I'm from New Jersey. So going to Disney usually meant going to Disney World, which meant usually a plane flight, which is different than how it is in California. With California, it's more like people in town can just drive there. It's more like in New Jersey, we have Great Adventure, like Six Flags, and it's just like you just drive in for the day. That's how Disneyland is in California. You just sort of drive in. It's not as big a deal. But going to Disney World is more of a destination thing, where it's like you get on a plane, you fly down there, you stay for however long, a couple days, a week, and when you're there, it's just Disney. It's a big deal, because it's like you're staying in the hotel and you paid a lot of money and you got to get your money's worth out of it, because it's like you got to do it while you're there. Where Disneyland, if you live in Anaheim, you just drive in, you can go for a couple hours. What was your question?
Yeah, like Orlando's more about like Orlando has all the resorts and everything, so it's a lot more like staying there, you know, and completely being Disney theme all day long and everything.
Yeah, you're completely like separated from society, where Disneyland isn't quite like that. I went to Disney quite a bit growing up. Gradually things would change over the years. You go one year and then you go back, 2-3 years later, and you'd be like, oh, what happened to that ride? That ride is gone. What happened in the Mr. Toad ride? What happened to the rides in Epcot? What happened to Maelstrom? What happened to...
Or they're gone, like, or like it's like Alien Encounter, how it's not there anymore.
Well, that one, they just don't have anything. Well, that ride was several different things. I think it was Mission to Mars, and then it was the Alien Encounter, and then it was a Stitch thing, and now it's just nothing. And out in California, they don't have the People Mover anymore. The track ride is just like sitting there, and it's really a shame, because they should just fix it up. And they spend money on so much stupid stuff. They're like, oh, let's make some crappy new Snow White movie, or some crappy new Aladdin movie, or let's buy Star Wars, and they make all these like bad decisions. Their first priority should be like, let's go fix the People Mover. Let's fix all these rides. That spend your money like on the Disney stuff, and after all that shit's fixed, if you want to go buy a Spider-Man, fine, but fix your own stuff first. And they don't do that. They leave their old rides and stuff to rot. The reason that happens a lot is because a lot of these CEOs and stuff, they didn't grow up with Disney. They grew up as Batman fans and Superman fans and Spider-Man fans, and so a lot of these people that are in control making decisions, they're like, oh, why don't we have Spider-Man? What's this goofy, like, they don't get it. Do you have a more specific memory of your first time going there? And
yeah, so it was definitely an expensive trip, so it wasn't something that you could do very often. It was kind of like like you said, it was like a destination kind of trip. So I think the first time I went, I must have been like, I think I was probably like 15, maybe, but it's hard to remember now. But the thing that I remember though is before that, I actually saw some video of it from my uncle, because my uncle would always have this video camera he would take around, and so my uncle and aunt went to Disney World for a little trip, and I remember when they came back, he had all this video to show, and on the video he had like the Indiana Jones stunt show and stuff like that. And of course, this is crappy VHS quality video where it would like, he'd be zooming in and it would shake a lot and it would go in and out of focus. Like we were all just sitting around like during some like family event, just watching it, you know, and like.
See, that's so awesome. It was probably a big deal then to sit there and do that and be like, oh, we can see Disney World on the TV, because it's so different now, because you could go on YouTube and just look up a ride through of anything you want. But back then it was like, oh my God, wait, this guy's got footage of Disney World? That's crazy. So I can imagine how exciting that was.
But I remember seeing that video of the Haunted Mansion when, now this is obviously way before YouTube, and now you could look up any POV video of a ride and spoil it, quite frankly, just absolutely spoil it. And even some videos, they even have the lights on, and it's like, oh, come on, like, you know.
It doesn't matter anyway, because things are so different. When we used to go, we'd get on the ride and we'd be looking at the ride. Now when you go, you get on the ride and you look to the left and you look to the right and you're on the little cart. Like everybody is on their phone or on a tablet and they're like playing games on the phone. You got like Ariel or whatever in front of you and they're just like staring at their phones, and it happens all the time. And it's just like, why did you even go? You're spending all this money. Why did you even go if you're going to be looking at like some tower defense game on
like
your phone or something?
Are people on like roller coasters, like doing loops and they're on their phone?
The kids are playing Roblox on their phone and they're not even looking at the ride. It's always like the dad that doesn't care. They even sell t-shirts a lot of times that'll be like, I paid for this trip and that kind of stuff. So the dad always has to be like, I'm too good for this. I'm too macho to pay attention to the Haunted Mansion. I'm gonna just like not pay attention.
When I went on the Mario Kart ride in Universal like a couple years ago, and I had my children with me, and I remember them just being so impatient, especially the littlest one, that they have no patience. So I'm like looking at my phone. I'm looking at a walkthrough of the Mario Kart ride on my phone just to see how much longer the line is going to be, just to see like, should we stay in this or not?
I went to it later when it was not quite as busy, and actually I went not long ago, and the guy, there's a restaurant there, Toad's Cafe. And when I went up to Toad's Cafe, I was like, how long will it be? Because there was a line. I was like, how long would it be for 4 people? I was with some other people. And the guy's like, I know you. And I'm like, oh, yeah? And he's like, and then he turns to Aaron and he's like, he points to her and he goes, you beat Castlevania 3. And then he looks back at me and I'm like, do you want me to tell you who I am? And he's like, no. I want to guess. And I'm like, okay, you can guess. And he's like, Mike Mrdeza. And I'm like, yep, that's me. And he's like, come right this way. And he let us cut all the people. So the one place I got an advantage in life is, of course, it would be Nintendo Land. So let's get back to the Haunted Mansion here.
Yeah. So anyway, that video.
Badass. That's so badass. A guy at Nintendo Land said, I know you, and then pointed at the dudes who I said, you beat Castlevania 3. No, I want to guess. Mike Mrdeza.
So back when so basically it's way before YouTube, and seeing a video of this ride, like my brain couldn't even comprehend like the effects that I was seeing on the video. Cause like I said, this is shitty VHS quality footage. It doesn't look good. It's always going out of focus, but you know, all those like hologram faces and everything. I'm like looking at it like, is that real? Is that like on like a screen, or like, what is that? And all I had was the video and my uncle telling me about it. And it wasn't until I went on the ride myself and actually saw it in like, you know, with your natural eyes, seeing it in like the dim lighting and everything, was when I really was just amazed, like just blown away by the special effects and all the lighting. It was just incredible. Like when I was on that ride, I just remember like just looking around and trying to like make sure that I looked at everything before it passed by. And you almost want to go through it slower so you could really like check out everything. And I think I ended up going on it like 3 times in a row back then.
It's definitely the kind of thing where it's like there's so much going on, you got to go on it multiple times to try to like retain everything. So when you begin, the first thing is the line outside. It's the graves with the phrases, and you're waiting in the line queue. Tombstones, and they'll have phrases like "Good old Fred," a great big rock fell on his head, or "Brother Dave, he chases a bear into a cave." And so on and so forth. It's all these sort of grim jokes that they put onto the gravestones. And I don't know if you remember the actor Jack Lemmon, but he kind of did the same thing from like Grumpy Old Men. I saw his grave not long ago, and his grave said Jack Lemmon in.
Wow, I didn't know that. So it's like a real epitaph.
Like Grumpy Old Men. The actor Jack Lemmon, but he kind of did the go on his head, or Brother Graves with the phrases, and you're waiting in the line queue. Tombstones, and they'll have phrases like "Good old Fred," a great big rock fell on his head, or "Brother Dave, he chases a bear into a cave." And so on and so forth. It's all these sort of grim jokes that they put onto the gravestones. And I don't know if you remember the actor Jack Lemmon, but he kind of did the same thing from like Grumpy Old Men. I saw his grave not long ago, and his grave said Jack Lemmon in.
Wow, I didn't know that. So it's like a real epitaph joke.
Yeah, he did like a Haunted
I
Mansion
didn't know
thing, but
that.
on his actual thing. He was really fun. I like Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau and all them. And then they bring you into the stretching room, which is where it's a circular room, it's an elevator, and they have you stand in the middle of the room, and the person working there usually says, "Take your wretched body away from the walls and step into the dead center of the room." They don't want you touching the walls because the walls are like moving. So they say that, but people who have been on the ride a lot will often, they know that the phrases are coming up. So what you don't want to do if you're going to the Haunted Mansion, don't be one of those people who take over the job of the employee, because you walk in and there's like 7 people in there, and they're all like, "The dead center of the room, everybody get into the dead center of the room." And it's like, don't do that. You're kind of ruining it a little bit for other people. So just shut up. Just let the ride happen. The original portraits were done by Disney animators, like Mark Davis, I believe, did a lot of them. They were just paintings, and then they had them like enlarged and put in the room. There's a bunch of different ones. Like there's a woman on a tightrope above an alligator, but at first you only see the woman, and as it stretches, then you see the alligator with this open mouth.
Yeah.
So there's all the
So like
all the
they're
different
like
things.
foreboding when they expand. I remember the effect working pretty well too. Like every time I've been on it, where it does feel like you're sinking or something. Which I think, like, actually you might know the answer, but like I think each of the like Disneyland, Disney World does the effect in a different way, right?
Oh yeah, the stretching room in Disneyland is an actual elevator, and it lowers the people from the ground level to the lower level of the building. But the one in Disney World in Orlando, it's not an elevator, it's just stationary, and the effect is because of raising the ceiling. Yeah.
We should mention the voice, like that iconic voice, which I looked up. The original voice actor was Paul Frees. It's one of those things where you would imagine that the voice is Vincent Price, even though as far to my knowledge, it's never been Vincent Price. But I think it might be a little bit like one of those Mandela effects where you just imagine it to be Vincent Price's voice.
I mean, they should have got him. That would have been perfect for it. You go down a hallway, and there's all these portraits going along the wall, and there's the Flying Dutchman, there's the Medusa, there's the like a werewolf lady, and there's Master Gracie. And as you're passing by it, the image sort of changes, and it's these sort of ghostly images where when you first see like the ship, it's just a ship, but then as you pass by it, it turns into a ghost ship with lightning. And just recently in that area as well, they added a cat, which has like a red eye. And that was an idea that they had back in the 60s when they were making the ride, but for whatever reason it wasn't implemented. But they recently put in the cat with the red glowy eye into that area as well, so you'll pass by that. So if you see the cat, don't think that that was a new thing that they just made up. That was actually an old idea that they just brought into fruition, which I thought that was cool that they did that. See, there's a modern Disney thing that they did that was good. All right, so the next thing, you actually get on the ride. There is a track moving along the floor, and you actually got to get onto the ride pretty quickly before, you can almost like trip over yourself trying to get onto the thing because it moves pretty fast. But you get on the ride, and the little carriages are called doom buggies. That's what they call them.
Oh, I never knew that. Doom buggies. Okay.
You get on them, and the thing closes down on you, and that ride system is called an Omnimover ride system, and it was invented by Bob Gurr. Worked on the Matterhorn, the People Mover, lots of rides. I want to explain just what that means. That's probably the main part of what the Haunted Mansion is this, and why they even made it in the first place. They invented this system. It's a different way to load people. It's a way to like eat people up, basically, to get congestion down in the park. Like the ride doesn't come in and stop, and then you get on it and go again. It just keeps moving. So when you go on like the Little Mermaid ride, any of those types of rides where it's continually moving and you gotta like hop on it quick, that's called the Omnimover system, and they did that on purpose to like get things going like faster, and that's a Disney thing.
There's this one part where there's this really long hallway, and I think it might be mirrors, and there's like a floating candle at the end of this hallway, and on the other side there's like the coffin, and it's like that coffin that's kind of like jiggling open. Yeah, and there's like a window behind it. And I just remember that part is so cool, and every time I go through, I'd always have to like decide like, oh, am I going to look more at the coffin, or am I going to look more at the hallway?
Also in that area is a bunch of doors, and the doors have like knockers, but they're automatic, so it looks like there's a ghost knocking on the door. So the Disney World version has the upside down stairs, which I think are based on the famous painting Relativity by M.C. Escher. It's where you look up at the ceiling, and it's all these staircases that are sort of going in different directions. That's specific to Orlando. Then the Omnimover brings you into the ballroom, which is a long sort of horizontal room where you're looking at this long dinner table. It's making all these different projected effects to where you're essentially seeing ghosts right in front of your face.
Yeah, I gotta say, like that seemed like when I first saw that as a kid, I was just blown away. Like I'm looking at ghosts. Like they just look like they're floating in the room, and even though you're looking down over this balcony at this whole ballroom, but it's like, whoa, holy shit, it's like a whole party of ghosts. And
all these projections make all these cool ghost effects. Probably most notably are the dancing ghosts that are like spinning around, which were also used in the NES game, because Adventures in the Magic Kingdom has the whole Haunted Mansion part that you go into, which is really cool, and it's pretty well represented actually, unlike a lot of NES games where they don't, Back to the Future and things where they don't represent the thing well. The NES game really shows that Haunted Mansion, I think, pretty well for a game. One thing I heard is that the organ guy is actually the same as characters from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I think they used like the same prop for that. The ballroom scene is one of the most iconic rooms in the whole place, I would say. Besides the ballroom dancer guys, there's also ghosts coming out of their paintings on the wall that are shooting at each other up in the top left. And then the ones down below at the table are drinking and blowing out candles on the cake. There's a lot of stuff going on. So the effect works because the rider is above, looking down on the scene through an angled piece of glass. It creates this reflection of the hidden room below. And those dancing ghosts are animatronics, and they're just dimly lit with lights flickering on and off of them, making them appear ghostly.
Yeah, and just to think like 1969, that would have existed, like that people could go in and see that. Like that's crazy.
The Disney company was so good about like inventing their own ways of coming up with effects. They did the multi-plane camera as well. They did animatronics and all kinds of stuff. Disney was always inventing things, and they had a whole company to do that. The company that they made to do that within Disney was called WED, and the Disney Imagineers worked for WED, and that's where Wedway People Mover comes from. And it was just all these talented people that they would get from all over the country, all over the world, that would work there, and they were constantly inventing things.
There actually is a really good documentary series. I think it was Imagineering. I think that was the title. Do you remember that?
Yeah, there's all kinds of good Disney history stuff. There's one movie called Waking Sleeping Beauty, which is sort of about the 80s and 90s resurgence of their movies and stuff. And one that I really like, that I feel like everybody should watch. This is Frank and Ollie, but it's about the 9 old men that animated all these movies. Mark Davis and Ward Kimball, and I have a lot of love for all this Disney stuff. I mean, listen, you and I met because of my love of Disney. I went to art school because I liked, like Looney Tunes and Disney, largely Disney, because I liked the Carl Barks comic books and all this, but also the animations. And, so all this is like very near and dear to my heart. So this is a great movie. Everybody should watch. If you like Disney, people should know a little bit about these guys. The next room you move into is with the crystal ball is in the center, and she's called Madame Leota. She was actually one of the Imagineers, and we were just talking about Wedway and the Imagineers and all that, and they used her likeness for that. So that's who that is. It's like based on a real person. Leota Toombs Thomas. And she also worked on Small World, Pirates of the Caribbean, Tiki Room, and then they used her image for her. And she's basically just like a sort of ghostly fortune teller person inside of the crystal ball, and you're moving around this room, and she's sort of enchanting spells and all this, and things are floating in the room, like there's musical instruments like drums and trumpets and things floating in the air. I saw this interview one time with Dan Aykroyd, and he was with his father, and this was a thing I saw on YouTube, and he was talking about how, he's talking about Ghostbusters and how he believes in ghosts and all that, and you know how Dan Aykroyd is. But he was talking about how when he was a kid, one of the things that made him believe in ghosts was that he was at like a seance, and he was like a little kid, and he remembers seeing a trumpet floating in the air. He was like, oh my God, I guess ghosts must be real, because they're doing like this seance thing, and there's a trumpet floating. And then his dad was there in the interview, and his dad goes, yep, that happened. Like so he had like a person like back him up as well. Like, okay, this was like a real thing. And then so I'm right in the Haunted Mansion. I'm going through that Madame Leota room, and I'm looking at all the floating like instruments in the sky. And then there's a trumpet floating in the sky, and I'm thinking to myself, did Dan Aykroyd actually just go on the Haunted Mansion, and his memory is like cloudy?
Well, also that happens. I think there is a floating trumpet in the Ed Wood movie, Night of the Ghouls.
All glorious knowledge of truth and righteousness.
Or maybe he was just watching Night of the Ghouls. So every time I go on the Haunted Mansion now, I look up at that trumpet and I think of Dan Aykroyd. I would love to hear his thoughts on the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah, he would just be like, oh, well, that's a Class 8 ecto something or another.
There was the Hatbox Ghost. And this was a character and an effect that was gone for a really long time. They had it in 1969, and the effect wasn't really working well. So it's this ghost, and he has a hat box, and his head is supposed to disappear and go into the hat box, and then
wait, a box of hats, or like
a box that you like a woman would keep a hat in. That's all, and he's like holding it, and it's supposed to go from into the box, and then it's supposed to go back to his face, like as if his face disappears.
Maybe it was just a little too outdated that nobody has a hat box anymore.
Well, yeah, back in the day, people wore hats more, I guess, but top hats,
monocles
and things like that. I think it's supposed to be like for like a top hat, like a box you keep your top hat in, or something like that.
I was just thinking like things that people don't wear anymore, like monocles and like
So for many, many years, that effect was gone. It was removed in the 60s, and they sort of somewhat recently, in the last 5-10 years, added it back. With modern technology and computers and everything, they have it working perfectly now. That was always a thing for many years of people would say like, oh, did you know there used to be this cool effect back in the 60s that they had about the Hatbox Ghost? So people knew about it. So when they actually brought it back, it was kind of a big deal. So now you're at the top of the house, you're in the attic, and what happens then is the doom buggy turns and goes like this, and then it like brings you back. And now you're like kind of on your back. And I like that part of the ride a lot because I'm old and walking around the park all day, my back's hurting. So yeah, so it feels so good on my back, and I'm just like, I can't wait to get on the Haunted Mansion and be on the part where it makes my back feel good. So I'm like going, so you're going, now you're traveling downwards now, like on your back. As you're coming down, you see all these creepy trees that look like something out of the Wizard of Oz, and there's crows with like red eyes and things like that as you're traveling down.
So now we're getting into the cemetery. Yeah, this is the real good shit. The cemetery was probably my favorite part since being a kid. I love how there's such a big combination of effects. There's like those ghostly sort of projections where they sort of come up. Then there's like those hologram faces on like the, or those like projected faces on those like statues.
And one of those projected faces, the voice is actually Tony the Tiger.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's Tony the Tiger's voice.
Yeah. Oh, then there's like the ones that pop up. There's like these ones that just kind of pop up out of the ground, and they're like an animatronic.
In the background, there's bicycles that are going around in a circle, and there's like ghosts on the bicycles.
I like the guy with the lantern. Like I think he's got like a dog with him or something.
Every single character has their own unique look and style and story to them. So like you're looking at one area and you're seeing these characters that are almost look like Greek or something, and there's one person that has like a harp. I've gotten stopped on the ride before where I'm like going through the ride and the ride stops because somebody maybe is like trying to get on the ride, so they have to stop the ride for a second. I'm always hoping that I'll get stuck in that room.
Oh.
So that I can get a chance to actually like look around, but I never get stuck there.
That's probably the one ride I wouldn't mind getting stopped on, just so you could like check it out more.
I think I got stopped where you were talking about earlier, that like hallway with the candle.
Oh, that's cool though too.
I like that the characters are all individually designed and they all have their own story to them, and they like you can tell like these are all people that lived a life, and they're all interesting to look at. You know, they all have character to them.
Yeah, like even the guy with the lantern, who's supposed to be like a real, like he's like probably one of the only live human characters in the ride that I can think of where he's not a ghost. But when you look at it, he doesn't look like a real person. He looks like a stylized Disney like drawing come to life, basically.
Exactly.
The finale of this ride, and probably the coolest part as a kid that I always remember, where I was like, well, how do they do that? You come toward the end and there's all these ghosts that are like hitchhiking, and then next thing you know, they appear in like the carts with you, but in the mirror. Like you're looking at yourself in a mirror and the ghosts are with you. And I just remember that being so cool. And I think they changed it a little in recent years. So maybe you could tell us about that.
In the 60s, they had the original effects, and they were physical animatronics. But James was asking me, and he wanted to know, because at some point they changed it. The answer you're looking for is in 2011, in the Magic Kingdom in Orlando, they used a new motion capture digital projection technology. So they sort of got away from the original animatronics, and they changed the technology of it. And it now had it would swap heads with guests and make heads disappear and move around and that kind of stuff. A few years later, in 2015, they updated the effects in Disneyland as well. So it got the same sort of update and makeover. And actually, though, in January 2025, this year, Disneyland did a new projection technology again. So now it's been updated yet again, and the effects look even better now. They're more vivid and there's more going on, and it's just like, it's really impressive now. One big difference between the Florida ride and the California ride is between September and December out in Anaheim, they changed the Haunted Mansion to Nightmare Before Christmas, which is an amazing re-theme where the entire ride is just transformed, and I've been on it and it's incredible. And if you can get the chance to go during that time of the year, definitely do it. One thing I do want to say about it though is they do it from September to December, and I understand them wanting to do it around Christmas time because it's Nightmare Before Christmas, but the Haunted Mansion is like the spooky thing. I feel like they should keep the Haunted Mansion normal during October because that's like normal horror Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
I feel like right after Halloween ends, like November 1st, that's when they should change it.
I forgot about that. I remember hearing about it.
Yeah, one little piece of trivia I wanted to tell you is that, did you know there are real ashes in there sometimes? Because what people do is sometimes people will try to sneak their dead relatives' ashes into the park, and they will bring them to different rides. Now, it doesn't only happen on the Haunted Mansion. Like, this happens all over the park, but and you're definitely not supposed to do it. But sometimes people in their purse or something, they'll sneak in ashes because you might have, it'd be like me, right? It'd be like, I love the Haunted Mansion, bury me there, right?
Yeah.
But people actually do it sometimes, and I actually know some people that have worked on the Haunted Mansion, and I would recommend not doing it because they just take it and throw it out.
I would think that they even have to just go in there just to do some routine dusting and stuff, like, you know, just to think that there's no way the ashes are going to stay. So
now there's another thing. We're not totally done. So when you exit the ride, there's a small cemetery off to the side, which you might pass or like not even notice. But the cemetery is a little pet cemetery, and it has little statues and things. And in the back of the pet cemetery is a statue of Mr. Toad, because Mr. Toad is no longer in the Orlando ride. They took that ride away. So, and because he's an animal that was taken away, they have him as a statue. It's a little tribute for the fact that they took the ride away, which is a damn shame because it was a great ride, and they replaced it, I think, with Winnie the Pooh.
to sum things up, Haunted Mansion's probably my favorite Disney ride. Always has been. Probably my favorite haunted attraction, I guess, if you want to call it that. But then I also think about Alien Encounter when that used to exist, and and the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. But the Monster Madness episode that's going to come up in the this coming October is going to be a little different because I'm going to talk more about local haunted attractions, not so much theme parks and things like this. Also, the Monster Madness videos will be more like the usual videos where it's just me scripted. But hey, feel free to drop in at some point and maybe we'll talk a little more.
Okay.
Like that? Favorite? It's your very
My name is James, but you can call me Hacker Supreme, and when I jam with the console cowboys in cyberspace, I only use Express.
Honey. What do you want to watch? Call him boss. Boss nigga. Brad Williamson and Deville Martin. Deville, that's quite a name. Gotta research that a little bit more. About there.
Well, help him over. Where's James? Jed's in town. We gotta get you to a doctor. All right. You got a strong back, boy. Come on, get down from that floor. On your knees. Go ahead. Made it, boy. I figured.
Yeah. He was shot in the hand. You remember that? You remember when he was shot in the hand? They call him boss. Boss nigga. Black man. White man's town. Call him hoss. Big hoss. Black brown. In a white man's brown.
Dead. He wants me to meet him. You can't go, boss. He's sure to kill you. See that Pancho's mother is taken care of.
They'll kill you for what you did to his men.
Maybe. Maybe not.
Does she mean that much to you? I don't want you to go. I don't want you to be killed.
If I don't go, I'll be just like the other men in this town. Afraid of their own shadow.
Think that nigger will be here?
Yeah, he'll show up. He wants a little of that black stuff. Hey, Jen, Slim's back and he brought something back with him. So this is the nigger that killed my man. Hold out his hand. Give me a gun. Your death is gonna be slow and painful, nigger. Take him and tie him to a post and let the sun work on him for a while. You hurry up with that water, nigger gal. Where's your water, gal? Come on, honey. Be nice to me like yours to Jet, okay? Is Boss still alive?
Yes, he's tied to a post near the shed.
How many men they got up there watching him?
I could only see one.
Get us the boss.
a lovely night. It's too bad you're too busy to enjoy it.
I'll be off guard in a few hours.
Well, in a few hours, I'll be with Jed. And you seem to be more man than he is.
Where's that nigger bitch?
You better get in there. Jed's calling for you.
Hurt? Yeah. Come in there and keep your eye on this gal. Got a few words to say with the mayor.
My, but it's warm in here.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I open the window?
No.
Because after a while, it's really going to get hot in here.
Yeah.
He sure is a handsome man. Really nice.
I'm sorry I didn't hit him sooner, but I got carried away watching you.
Amos, where's your shirt?
I left it in my saddlebags. I figured they wouldn't be able to see me this way. We gotta help boss. What happened? You almost made it, boy. Almost. Now get up. Come on, get up. Go over to the door. And tell your man to bring in boss. Who? The nigger, boy. The nigger. Now do like I tell you. Hey, Sonny, bring that big nigger in the shed.
I can't do that without Jed's orders.
Don't argue with me. Do as I say. Jed put me in charge till he gets back. Now move. Come on, help him over there. Where's Jed, Amos? Jed's in town. We gotta get you to a doctor. All right. You got a strong back, boy. Come on, get down from that floor. On your knees. Go ahead.
Where are we taking him? We can't take him to town. The mayor should have told Jed where he is.
The only place I know is The school teacher's house. She kind of sweet on him anyhow. It's the only safe place. Go ahead. Here, take his gun. What's your name, boy? Perk Carl Collins. Did you want it? Huh? Oh, no, no. Doesn't matter.
You know, Mayor, I believe you. I don't think you would make a nigger sheriff of this town.
Like I told you, Jed, he just rode in here and took over. Said he was looking for you.
Is that right?
That's right.
Well, I don't think you got to worry about him no more.
No, he's sort of tied up right now.
By the way, Mayor, we're going to be leaving these parts tomorrow. When I get back, I want that store full of supplies. Because if it ain't, we're going to take a whole lot of pleasure going into every house in this town and taking just what we want. You know what I mean? Mayor Griffin.
Oh, my God. Bring him in and put him in my bed.
Clara May, go get the doctor and bring him here.
What happened to you?
If I know, boss, it ain't half as bad as what's gonna happen to them. Amos, go get us some ammo. I'm gonna need it.
Just be still. You aren't going anyplace.
I'll get it for you, boss. Just do like Miss Pruitt tells you till the doc gets here. Amos.
Just be still. Lay down.
He must like you a lot, honey, to risk his life for you.
I like him a lot, too.
He's gonna need a lot of rest and a lot of caring.
Well, I guess I'll give him the rest, since she's all ready to do the caring. Doesn't look like he's going to get that rest, Doc.
You're gonna leave town soon, aren't you, boss? I don't want to see you killed.
I ain't leaving this town till I gets me Jed Clayton.
When you go, will you take me with you?
No. That kind of life just ain't for you, Clara May.
You always kill for money.
Not always. Sometimes I just can't help it.
I'll go with you no matter what you do.
You'll have to wait. The patient's getting fixed up right now. Want some tea?
Might as well. Where's the nigger?
He's in the shed with Perk. He told me to take him inside.
Where is he?
Well, I was hit on the head first, and then the other nigger made me go tell Sonny to bring the big nigger inside. And then he hit me again. That's all I remember.
All right. Too late to follow him now. Probably gone too far. We'll get ourselves some sleep and we'll move out tomorrow. We'll pick ourselves up a wagon in that Mexican town. Clammy. Where's Amos?
Amos, Boss wants to see you.
Amos, get the ammo, the gun.
Okay, boss.
Good. We'll be starting after them soon.
You won't have to. Doc heard the boys talking in town. Jed's due in town today to get some supplies.
That's good. Get everything ready, Amos. You know what to do.
Okay, boss.
Clammy. You go to the cantina. Stay off the street. Stop here and have a drink before we go to town.
Oh, I've seen this one before. Yeah, I think I want to try me some of this again. Come here, Blackie. Have you come on to Jed? Come here, you black bitch!
Let's get the hell out of here!
Jed's at the cantina and he's killed a black girl. He's coming into town now.
Jed's men, they're at the cantina now. Hey, no, boss! Wait, no! Boss, no! No, boss! You can't go now! We got to gonna do just like we planned. All right, sure is quiet here. I reckon everybody's scared to come out. All right, load up that wagon. Hey, Sheriff. Sheriff, you're not gonna shoot an unarmed man, are you? Hey!
That's for little Pancho. That's for me.
Go ahead and kill me, nigger.
Mr. Nigger to you.
Go to hell, Mr. Nigger.
To hell is where you're going. This is for Clara May. Amos, don't let me down in white folks' town, Amos.
You ain't gonna die, boss.
Amos, get me out of here, Amos.
Okay, sure, boss. I'll get Jed's body and put it in the wagon, okay?
I'm coming with you.
Thanks, school teacher. But a black man's got enough problems without having a white woman follow him around.
used to it. It's 'cause you're
I know, I'm a weenie head. Hey, can we watch like the first episode?
No. No. I take a week break.
No, I can't.
I take a weekend off smoking and award you with a Dexter. What? Hey. Oh.
Hey, easy with my muscle, man. Tender. Yeah. Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan.
See how much fun you're having?
Michael
See
Jordan,
how much fun you're having?
boom, boom, Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan.
Just take note
Michael
of
Jordan,
all that.
Michael Jordan.
And now you understand why
How
I do
many
it.
times have you done that to me?
And now you understand why. Because you were having so much fun, Mom. See how happy you are now? See? Now you understand.
See, senor.
See! I would take a puff.
Like, how long has it been, MIA?
In existence. It's probably been missing longer than I've been smoking it.
Well, I mean,
It's just the cartridge. I know the battery is.
I understand that, but can you remember when you last had it?
If I could, I would find it. Oh, God. What kind of question is that? Oh, you lost something? Did you look where you lost it? Mama.
Would you have taken it to bed with you?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Just when I wanted to have a hit, you gotta go.
Let's go hunting for it.
Yeah, hunt.
What do you say?
A hunt and we will go.
Oh,
I mean, you can't even remember the last time you had it.
Naruto Unhinged episode 8.
I know you hate them.
No.
Yes, you
no,
do.
No.
You've said it.
I hate bitches.
No, you
I hate
have
bitches.
said.
And I think women.
Yeah, that's a really good light to find something.
This is why I feel the way I feel.
You
I
said
feel the way
you
about
hate women.
No. I hate bitches, and I feel the way about women that the way women feel about me. Shut the fuck up.
Have you really met a woman before?
Yeah, too many. Yeah, one was too many. Have you ever met a woman before? Mom, what is a woman nowadays? Huh?
I'm not sure. Alright, would it be safe to assume it's nowhere down here?
No. It would not be safe to assume.
Oh, okay, a hunt.
Don't do it.
Whoever finds it
Don't
first
do it. Don't do it. Don't do it, Mom.
Well, yeah, I have to.
Yeah, see, you don't deserve the light.
Well,
I took the
actually,
bulb out.
Darn it.
Idiot.
No. It's the kitchen light. I'm not replacing it now. Tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
It's
I
daylight.
saw that.
And, stop.
Stop what?
This
It's
is
my
it.
fault somehow. What do you want?
No. This shit.
No, just leave it.
No, we can't leave here. Come on.
Just calm down.
Okay. I'll calm down.
I wanted to use it as kindling for a fire. It's not difficult to utilize things. You
All right,
make it
honey.
difficult.
I'll leave it there. Okay? Excuse me.
You throw away my other glob? Huh?
No, I did not. I think there's another glob in the bathroom.
For a special occasion. Special occasion. What?
I'm just talking to myself.
What? So you're a Mondo Grondo Imbo Bimbo Bing. I found it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, right.
Oh.
Thanks
Oldest
a lot.
trick in the book.
No, thanks a lot.
Oldest trick in the book. Like, come on.
this out, and you look at it. Yeah, that's all I learned from school. That's all I learned from school. That it was a scam and how to scam. You told me to throw something just now. You said to throw something. I did. You're welcome. Make me a milkshake. Curb some of the stress that you put me through. Wow, you not putting me through de-stress. Mom. That's probably upstairs. Probably upstairs. Big hug. Big hug. I'll search upstairs after I sip your beer. You should try a beer my way, Mama.
No.
Why not?
Don't want to. Thank you for offering. So mean. No, not. No, not. No, not. No, not. bathroom.
Where? Geez, Mom, you tweaking. What?
No, I mean, it was like right over here. What that is? Soap, whatever, I don't know, lotion.
It's your fault.
No. It's not.
They call him Boss. Boss nigga. He's so bad. He's so black. He's that sounds weird. Black man.
Not yet.
Tell me you found it, Mom. I'm tweaking. Oh, Mom. He's been pumping. I was pumping. I remember. I switched the cartridges and I was upstairs. I was pumping a little bit.
All right, you switched them upstairs, so it's got to be upstairs.
See, you oversimplified. Maybe. Yeah. Ride.
Ride, Captain, ride upon your
What now? God.
hair, freaking hairs.
Yes,
No, this is beard hair and yuck yuck.
Right when you wanted a puppy, say. He's so bad. He's so black. He's so black. Oh, he called him Balls. Balls. I don't know.
I mean, what color of
It's
a
yellow.
tip?
It's yellow.
It's a yellow one
What
also?
color tip you bought it? Yes.
Yeah, but I didn't open the package. You did.
Oh, God. Oh, man. Go ahead. Try and make me feel bad. Maybe not this time. makes sense if it was over here, because we're going to charge it or plump it on a thing, but it's not. Makes sense if it was in the bed upstairs, but remember. This is okay. I just hate facing the same problems. They already have solutions.